Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Doors Update News, the only mini-series where you can learn about the upcoming features for Doors in an unnecessary amount of detail. You see, a while back it was confirmed that several mini-updates will be coming to the game, and what's even better is that some features for these update drops have actually been revealed. In this video, I'd like to discuss changes coming to 3 entities within the game, and I theorize that one of these entities will be changed so heavily it'll practically be an entirely different creature. I'll be discussing these changes in order from least to most interesting. So with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so the first change I want to discuss is coming to Figure. Essentially, something you'll see throughout this video is how I bring up the original version of Floor 2. You know, the version that only existed for 2 days and was actually difficult? Little side tangent, but Floor 2 did not need to be nerfed that hard. Some features were actually horrendous and needed to be removed ASAP, but they made it too much like a cakewalk after the first patch. Come on guys, this floor is after the hotel, it's supposed to be very difficult. Anyways, well, after the mines were nerfed, the developers did something that was, in all honesty, kind of foolish. Now, I love the devs, bless their hearts, but they removed the entirety of the heartbeat minigame, including from Figure, which is just an odd idea. I mean, in the original build of Floor 2, this minigame appeared for both Figure and Hide, and I couldn't care less about it being removed for Hide, but why remove it for Figure? After all, the minigame was specifically made for Figure, and it has been in the game ever since it was released. The developers even updated it with the Floor 2 release, making it have a much more modern and awesome UI. However, despite the heartbeat minigame's removal from Figure, the developers did say it would be re-implemented in the future, with a few changes. This not only is the first change we will discuss, but it is a relief for me, as I was a big fan of this feature. However, as you all know, the heartbeat minigame was fine just the way it was, so how could it be changed for Figure? Well, I do have one guess, but I'm not entirely sure how it would play out. Essentially, the way the minigame worked for Hide is that the longer you stayed in a locker, the game would progressively get faster and harder. Now, seeing how I highly doubt the minigame would ever be added to Hide again, given how it just doesn't fit that entity, this feature may be implemented into the game for Figure. I theorized that perhaps the minigame itself would last for a shorter duration of time than before, but in exchange, the difficulty would progressively get harder as I had previously described. Other than that, I'm not sure how it could be changed, but I am glad it will be coming back in a future update. Now, enough Figure talk, let's talk about Snare. Now, something you may have known is that Snare actually appeared in the mines when it was first released, but it was entirely removed from the floor when it was nerfed as everyone viewed it as a nuisance. Now, this was actually a change I could get behind, despite my previous words, as the random spawn locations of Snare were kind of horrendous. However, the developers did confirm that the entity would return in Floor 2 in a future update, albeit with a few changes, and this is what I'm interested in. If Snare was an annoying little ankle biter when it was first added to the mines, how would it be better fit for the floor? Well, I actually think I found a way it could be implemented. Essentially, I believe that when Snare does get re-implemented, it will exclusively only spawn in garden rooms. Think about it, not only are these rooms few and far between, meaning snares will not be a major nuisance, but it also fits with the overall design of the entity, as why wouldn't an evil plant creature spawn in rooms overgrown with vegetation? Additionally, garden rooms typically contain a lot of valuable loot, so why not add a risk factor in the form of snares to get this loot? I think it could kinda be like the courtyard basement, where the risk are the snares and the reward for overcoming that risk is gold, only this time the reward is a bunch of items. Okay, that's enough Snare talk. Let's now discuss arguably the most interesting change which I theorize is coming to the game, and that is the revamp of Window. Now, if you forgot what this entity was, I don't blame you, as Window was not only extremely rare to encounter, but they were also entirely removed in the Hotel Plus update. Essentially, before that update released, players would have a rare chance of encountering a glowing face outside of a window, before it would disappear with the next lightning strike. This face was known as Window due to their spawn location. However, their official name is actually Sally, as confirmed by the developers. Now, as stated, Window was removed in the Hotel Plus update, now only appearing as a decoration in the lobby. However, I have reason to suspect that they will actually return to the game in a future update. Essentially, when asked about Window, the developers stated, "Fair, be prepared." Now, although this line itself doesn't mean anything, if we inspect it more closely, we can find its true interpretation. The word fair is typically used when someone is in agreement, so in this sense we can interpret that the developers recognize too that window has been gone for quite a while. However, the words be prepared are far more interesting, as it essentially means that we are being told that we need to prepare for window in some way. This leads me to believe that the entity will be revamped to become an actual threat in a future update, hence why we need to prepare for their arrival, which is pretty exciting to think about. However, how would this new window function? Well, I do have one idea. Obviously, the entity would have to spawn outside of a window, but I think it would also function like an ambush predator. The way I think it could work is if you walk across the window they are present in, they would jump out and attack you or something like that. As to how you can avoid them, it could be that you have to crouch under their window so they can't reach you, or you have to narrowly avoid going across their window or something. To be honest, there are a lot of ways for this entity to be revamped into an actual threat. And that was just one idea I had. I am still excited to see this creature finally be re-implemented as an actual entity though. As more threats there are, the more engaging the gameplay. Anyways, that was essentially the entire video. I'm excited to see the changes coming to Figure, Snare, and Window, especially Window, as they may become a completely new entity. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are over these changes, and with all of that being said, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed!